Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar&Brawl. Hope you're having a good day. So, as usual, I'm joined by my co host Sam. And recently, I came across a couple of new Joe Rogan things that he said, about Ted Cruz.
Nothing was open.
No.
You know?
Tell you what was open, the Houston airport, and my boy Ted Cruz is like,
Yeah, he was out. And by the way, isn't it sad that like he couldn't get away with it? It's like, here's the thing about the Bush family. Say what you want about them, maybe whacked Kennedy, bygones, but I mean, now our leaders can't even get caught taking a commercial flight to Cancun. Like, that's pretty sad.
But here's the thing, like, what can he do? What is
Yeah.
the reason for him staying?
Well, I think it's just the optics of how it looks.
Optics,
Yeah,
right.
but of course, no, he doesn't have any of.
Can he make it warm
No,
out?
I don't think he has any power to do anything good.
Maybe he should be there with blankets. to
Yeah,
put him
well,
over
it's
the
funny.
pipes.
It's like the people that hate him the most are the ones that are like, he should be there. And it's like, doing what?
About him getting vaccinated and some other little things. And it just got me to think that, he's always just like leaning from one side of the political spectrum. Not even leaning, he's like swinging from one side to another, kind of like a yo-yo often, I find. And right now he seems like he's going leaning a bit to the right based on like a few videos that I watched recently. I don't watch him as often as before since he moved to Spotify. But yeah, that's kind of the impression I'm getting. So I have a few ideas as to why I'm saying that. But yeah, first wanted to take your immediate take, Sam, if you've heard anything new from him recently or if you've been watching his podcast recently.
To be honest, no, I'm not a. Yeah, I keep trying to remind myself I should, log into my Spotify and stuff, but I don't. So no, I haven't. But I did see that he did an interview with Tulsi Gabbard, so I'm interested in watching that for sure. Uh, I don't know. I think he's. I mean, the thing that you describe as a yo-yo thing, I don't, because he's not really a politician or he's not a political thinker or anything like that. I think he's just like most people, like on each issue, he has a different opinion. Like you never see, most people don't have a, I mean, even most people who are so-called, into politics, like myself or anyone, there are always exceptions to their way of thinking. Nobody fits into a specific thing. But most normal people, like Joe Rogan, I think, they just, in each issue, they differ significantly on the other. So I wouldn't describe it as swings as you do. I would describe it as just the unsystematic. He doesn't really have a systematic, like, I'm looking at the world through a Marxist lens or through a liberal lens or
Yeah.
anything like that. So he just, has views on a specific things.
But I mean, he's a bit into politics, a bit. And he has
Yeah,
a
sure.
guest that he brings on and things like that.
well,
And sometimes he
read them out.
yeah, for a while he was going kind of left, like starting from his more like right. I mean, I agree that, it's not like well defined and a lot of people are like that. But
Yeah,
he was
clearly
going
has-
left a bit, like he supported
he-
Bernie Sanders during the elections and all that.
and he reduced it seems he's reduced his contact with people like, let's say, Dave Rubin or, that type of character.
But he
or
brings some
even
other
Planet
now he
Fitness
brings
sometimes.
some other guys who are like, not as bad as Dave Rubin and stuff, but they kind of navigate that new kind
who
of
is-
right kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and he had Ben Shapiro on before he moved to Spotify.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think he has a very he doesn't swing. He's just he doesn't
But here's a few
have.
things that I feel like recently just towards the leaning. If not, I agree generally with your take, although I guess it is swinging because he just well, I guess on one issue, yeah, even on some issues though he can kind of swing back and forth. But okay, point taken. But I'll tell you a few things I caught. One thing that he does this general criticism of like the response to the pandemic. And if you start breaking down, I'm sure there are 100 things wrong with the response to the pandemic. But usually when kind of people throw that out there, they usually tend to mean like, you've closed down things for no reason. There isn't a need to close down. Yes, there is coronavirus. Or they sometimes have these kind of like scenarios or things that the government should do that does not seem very realistic because nobody has done it. Like, don't let these people go, keep those people there, but let this guy go down. So he kind of throws this "I'm not happy with the response" vague
He
thing as far as
does.
I've seen.
I would say, yeah, in that issue, yeah. And he even I watched a video of him that he was complaining about the fact that in a way, do I agree with him, but I don't think you can. Again, I don't think you can change culture overnight. I think what he wants is something that uh, should be put in plan in a long term process. Like he talked about that. Why don't people know about innate defense mechanisms of the body, and how aspirin and how sauna and how exercise and these stuff. And yes, you're right. Well, I hope more people knew about that, and people are educated about these things instead of a lot of the stupid shit we are taught at the school. But at the moment, it's not the case. And at the moment, a lot of people have been eating a lot of fast food for many years, even if they start eating broccoli and cauliflower now, and meat and pure meat, like the
Man,
best
it's
cut of
so funny that
ever.
you say that,
It's not
honestly.
going to happen overnight. If yes, these are all great idea. Everybody should only eat the meat they hunt. That would be a fucking
Yeah,
ideal world. But it's not going to happen right now. And right now, there are a lot of old people, or
yeah.
sadly overweight people, and that type of thing. That you know, I mean, they're not perfect people,
Yeah.
but the
No, this
family is
part I
much
agree
better.
100% with what you're saying. And exactly the health thing. It's funny that you picked up on that too, because so now he says he doesn't want to get vaccinated, but he's not one of these guys who denies that COVID exists. Apparently you have to get tested now before going on his show. Apparently even has a doctor there. I don't know, it's just something I've heard secondhand. I'm not sure, but he says doesn't want to get vaccinated, and it falls into the kind of thing that he says, I don't need it, I'm okay. Which, well, with some of the vaccines, they're also meant to stop the spread. They're not all like that, but the Pfizer one, apparently the claim is that you can't also, even if you get it, not only do you not get sick, but you can't spread it either, which is another
Yeah,
thing to
yeah.
consider. But let's put that aside. But then, like, one thing he said, he was like, "But Bill Gates said, this is like a month ago or two. Bill Gates says," and just quoting Bill Gates as if, wow, Bill Gates said, okay. He's like, Bill Gates said that 80% of the people who get the second dose get really sick. And I don't want that. And in his show, he kind of figures out that it's not true, that yes, Pfizer has some side effects after the second dose, which can, for some people, they might get a little shiver or a little fever. We did a video about this a long time ago over the night, but he was like thinking no for 2 to 3 days, and then he gets convinced that it's not the case, so he's like fine, but the damage was a little bit done. But then his other thing is exactly this. He's like, oh, people should get healthy, and they're telling you to stay home and all this, although most places you're allowed to go work out outside and all this. The government isn't telling you that, but yes, health has been shown to allow to not, for some people who are healthier, they don't get COVID as bad. But we know that healthy people get COVID, and badly too. It's so funny, like the UFC, which he commentates, have 500 fighters. According to him, they're like the healthiest of the healthiest. I know two of them at least, who are high. I don't know all 500 of them, but they're very famous. And they've been dealing with like the long haul of COVID issue and postponing their fights and postponing fights. Like they've kind of gotten better. They are better, but anytime they go training, they have a lot of like, their stamina is terrible. So,
Sure.
the health thing, just like you're saying, yes, it's there, but it's not the solution, to the current pandemic. It's kind of long term. So he kind of mixes these kind of things together. So, it's a bit of a mixture of right wing talking points, I would say a lot.
More libertarian, I would say, in terms.
Libertarian, yeah.
Yeah, like, free from control, do it, become a man on your own, like sort of take care of yourself type of thing. I don't know. Yeah.
But I mean, I played that audio for you that I'm going to play for people, which I'll talk about. But just to wrap up on this little COVID part, I have two little, like, it's just my hunch. But two things. One is that moving to Texas and the pandemic has made Joe Rogan a little bit out of touch, it appears to me. I would be interested if someone looks at the guests who are coming to his show. It seems to be much more reoccurring, like the same kind of people than did before. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have access as easily to that many people, even though he probably pays for their flights, I think, to come to his studio. And this just hit me today, so this is pure speculation. But do you think he's rebelling against Spotify a little bit? Because initially, like, Spotify staff were like, "Oh, we're gonna protest against Joe Rogan over kind of bullshit things." That just hit me today. I was like wondering if he's kind of like, "Yeah, okay, you guys are gonna see a little bit, but right leaning." But
I do think he and Spotify both noticed that his views have gone down since his move to Spotify, because he was so, like, on YouTube, it was part of many people's day to watch his clips or whatever, because he did a video sort of addressing that, and I watched it
about the comments too, right?
He talked about that. He talked.
I mean, one complaint that I've seen is that Joe Rogan's comment sections used to be like, people love that in general, talking, and now that you can't do that.
He said he talked to Spotify and they told them to bring it for me, but they said if we bring it for you, we have to bring it for everyone. And I don't know. They move. I mean, Spotify is expanding and they're going to change things, but at this point, it wasn't one that I was a fan. It wasn't. Anyway, but the studio in Texas is just so ugly. God damn. Yeah.
But I feel like they're going to have to double down on their Joe Rogan investment if they want to keep him past the next deal. I don't know. I feel like they either have to go all in, because if
How
not,
long is this deal for? Do you know?
I don't know. I think 4 to 5 years. It's like 100 million. I don't know.
Yeah,
good question.
Probably.
Yeah, but okay. So now this audio clip that played right now.
Yeah, people getting... Well, the other thing that was happening with the unemployment was, like, there was a lot of people that if they went back to work, they'd be risking their life. But if they just said, no, I'm too scared to go back to work, they still get that unemployment. And then you're not working for, like, long periods of time. You start to change the way you look at work.
Yeah.
You start to change the way you look at things.
Yeah.
And then you hear about stimulus checks. Like, where's these fucking stimulus checks?
Yeah.
You start thinking, like, we're just going to start getting checks. That could be a dangerous thing if the government just starts paying everybody.
Why?
Because I just don't think they have the money for it. Where's it going to come from? They're going to have to, somehow or another, they're going to have to take it from somewhere, or they're going to have to start printing money. And then it just, look, for sure, people need money to get back on track. The problem is if the government starts doing this on a regular basis, and then they keep shutting things down, and they keep giving, this is going to be some George Orwell shit, some 1984 shit. We're going to be fully dependent on the government to keep cities open, to keep towns open, and then they're going to be compliant to the ridiculous rules. Like,
so I mean, this is just like a made up story, a made up right wing and story that he just makes in his head. He scares himself for a second, then he brings himself back in and calms him down. But yeah, this is like really the audio that like caught my attention. I was like, I haven't heard you go on such a just a blee blue blah. He just said, he just made like 3 or 4 assumptions together. I mean, who said they're going to be sending out checks forever? And then to me, it appears that even though himself, he comes from like a working class background, as far as I know, everything talked about,
a hippie background,
and the hippie. So, but he is so like, he always like, he for him and for some other people, I feel that ideology, they feel like people who are like not, who don't have a job that earns them a lot, or that they love it, they're always looking for the tiniest excuse to get out of it, and to jump on that welfare check or whatever it is. They have such a low view of people who are working near the minimum wage, it seems to me.
I don't know. I think he has a low view of humans, which I kind of agree, like human frailty and all that. So he always looks at the negative aspect, rich and poor. But yeah, I mean, it comes out more against the poor usually, because you usually find something to admire about the rich, or they do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I completely disagree with him on the whole, idea that we shouldn't pay people during pandemic.
No, but then he says, "Oh no, but we should pay them." Like he like, it's as if the left wing just like hit his right wing.
Yeah. No, he says that you should do it in emergencies, like not forever, and it might causes a culture change and all that. I think that's a bit.
But I mean, but
I
he
don't.
made up that whole that whole scenario. They haven't. I don't even know if these second checks were sent out. Oh, we said $1,400. No, $1 and 400 cents. If you add it to the 600, put
Minus
it,
that.
buy some share. I don't know what, but okay. And then the last thing that I know as far as Joe Rogan kind of controversy recently is over his kind of Ted Cruz kind of thing. So he's kind of like, oh, like, why did Ted Cruz, what was wrong with Ted Cruz, going on a trip? It's just all about the optics. And at that, but I'm like, yeah, it is more about optics, but then it's not like there was anything for him to do.
To be
Which,
fair,
I mean, I was gonna say there's not that much to do, but I mean, come on, going for 3 days, you're telling me there's nothing he could do being around his office or in Texas or whatever as a senator? There's nothing he could have done during this time?
look, to be honest, I do think. I mean, yeah, sure, he might have. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think a senator probably could have done much. To be honest, it's not like they're not executive branch even; they're the legislative branch. So they pass laws technically. But I would say that I do think it reflects a bigger problem. The Ted Cruz can support the most vicious, legislative policies, and media doesn't pay attention. But he goes during a snowstorm. He goes to Hawaii for a vacation, and everybody's up in arms. And in the same video, he did criticize Ted Cruz, and to be honest, shit on Ted Cruz a lot about his videos during his campaigns. There's a famous video that he says that I go to church every Sunday, every day, and then his mother, Ted Cruz's mother, is sitting next to him and goes, "What? No, you don't." Like, what? Every day? Like, so I think he wasn't, I mean, I think he was pointing out the hypocrisy of media, not that it's okay for Ted Cruz to take a vacation or not, But and in a way, I kind of agree with him that even if he stayed as a senator, I don't know if he could. As a senator, you pass budgets that allow for good things. But when the crisis happens at that moment, what can you do?
Yeah, I agree like 90%. I think I'm sure there was still some stuff for him to do as someone like him. And some point out to smaller things like, oh, like AOC raised 5 million funds. I mean, I don't know if like,
All right,
raising funds,
fair enough.
even that. I mean, I understand even if he raised 15 million. I mean, the issue wasn't over a few $1 million, but that could have still helped a lot of people. But yeah, the optics. And then I saw one thing that's interesting though. He apologized very like
Ted Cruz?
quickly. Yeah, Ted Cruz, and
Oh,
heavily. And Sagar and Crystal Ball's kind of mini take on this, if I remember correctly, on the Hill was that like now politicians feel like they can't get away with everything, and they might have to apologize over some things, whereas during the Trump era it was more of a
no,
like yeah.
for example, in America, politicians always have to apologize for having an affair, which has nothing to do with their
Yeah.
public service. But they never have to apologize for, funding the war, for example, the death,
Yeah.
what was it? The death squads in South America or in Central America,
No, of
So,
course.
I don't think so. I think,
Yeah.
it's not a watershed moment. It's not a significant moment. It's just a tiny controversy.
No, definitely. I agree with you there, but I mean, that's the life that he signed up for, even if some of it
Yeah, yeah.
is for optics.
Yes.
Even if the optics, there's a snowstorm and this guy out.
Yeah. Just stay home, stay in your
Yeah.
fucking mansion and turn up the heat.
I know. And some say that, how he blamed his daughter and all that. I didn't really see that part, so I didn't see.
Well, same
But
here.
but yeah, okay, final bet. How much you want to bet Joe Rogan is gonna get vaccinated by? Because he's also, I mean, if someone needs to get vaccinated, it's kind of him. I mean, I'm sure he's going to start going around more and traveling and all that, and he's not staying.
Yes,
I will
yes,
give it,
yes.
when do I think he'll get vaccinated? I think with traveling and all that, yeah, he might in the first, yeah, in the summer and
I mean,
stuff
you
before.
told me in a video he said that he won't get vaccinated for now.
Right now, yeah, But I mean, he kind of says like no, and then I've seen clips of it, and then one part he's like, I like vaccines, I like vaccines, I'm vaccinated. So I
To be
think
honest,
it
I
hasn't.
do
Yeah.
understand people that want to wait a year or so, just because it's been such a fast process of, we never had such a fast
But I mean,
process
there's
of.
never been such a like commitment also to making something like that.
Sure.
Just like putting the money, sometimes it takes like 6 or 8 months to just convince someone to,
Yeah,
sign the paper, and then the paper gets sent somewhere else.
no, but it's
Yeah.
still like all the whole process of approval and all of that was fast tracked, and you never know. And uh, I think I may have mentioned this on a previous video, but there is a great British TV show called Utopia, and these 2 years has been so weirdly close to that TV show, and it's a conspiracy sort of TV show about the fact that they're trying to. I mean, I'm all a spoiled ending, but so I can understand why people.
Yeah,
might
but I mean,
wanna
let's
wait.
come back to reality a bit, because also the waiting is also happening, By the time summer rolls out, that means hundreds of thousands of people who participate in the trials were already vaccinated, millions
Yeah.
of
Sure,
people.
sure,
I mean,
exactly.
10%
That's
of
what
the US,
after
5 to
6 months.
10% of the US population has already been vaccinated. But yeah.
No,
So I think
it's
once
just
it becomes his turn,
I can understand people want to have take a bit of time to see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's human nature to be a bit
yeah.
conservative sometimes. So
No, I understand
I
that.
understand it. That's all. Yeah.
I think the information is coming out at the same time, but at the same time, then you shouldn't like throw out, random things Bill Gates said. The trust that he put in Bill Gates' name there, I was like, okay. And then
well.
it's funny. And then they watched the video, and the video says that like 80% after the second dose had systematic adverse effects, which it just means that, most of them from the Pfizer did have like either a headache or a small, like some kind of shiver. Systematic doesn't mean that their bodies shut down for 4 days.
All right.
But yeah, okay. But I've heard personal stories about the Chinese ones and the Russian one. I've heard less stories about side effects there. More in the Pfizer, which has so far proven to be the strongest and most effective too. So
Sure. To be fair though, it's the one most in focus as well.
Yeah, no, for
That
sure.
And a Sputnik, I would
yeah,
say.
no,
But yeah, it's
sure.
interesting. Yeah. Sputnik. Yeah, I haven't heard much bad about it.
no.
But who knows? We'll see.
Okay, alrighty. I think that's all. That was a little bit fun with Joe Rogan. Let's see when he gets vaccinated, if he goes back to the left a bit, to the right, or what's gonna happen, and what will happen with his Spotify deal. But okay, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or thoughts, please share them below, and also like and subscribe if you like the video. Thank you very much, and see you in our next video.